Hi, folks. Welcome to Paradox of Losing Cycle channel. In this video, now we're going to take a positive tone towards how to beat the odds. It's all about surviving the swings. We can't avoid the odds all the time. One way or another, we have to face some kind of odds, either in gambling or trading or investment or just simply, you might be, making a decision on an ad hoc situation where you have to face the odds, and and this is all about how to have the right tools and the understanding of the math in order to beat the odds. Specifically, we have designed this presentation to beat the house with math. So if you are still engaged in some sort of gaming, either in a casino or an online site or on an application or whatever, so basically you will face some kind of difficulty in taking decisions, and we are basically presenting all the tools for you to make the proper decision based on the math. So we are not going to give any type of systems or methods or anything like that. There are many systems out there. You can use any system. I don't believe in systems. You can create one if you want, or you can, find any system which is working well, which has a high win rate, and so forth. As I believe that the success rate is not based on the system, is based on the math. So we will discuss the mathematical background on how to succeed and beat the odds. Okay, so let's get started. So in both gambling or trading, the participants are subject to the ebbs and flows of boom and bust cycles and the volatile markets or the ups and downs of gambling. Now, these cycles are characterized by periods of rapid expansion, such as winning streaks, followed by sharp decline, which is losing streak, presenting both opportunities and risks. Understanding the Understanding and effectively managing these cycles is essential for mitigating risks and maximizing return. Um, so, the boom and bust cycle. Gambling, much like other forms of speculative bets, is characterized by a cyclical pattern of boom and bust on negative EV, which is the losing cycle, right? So this cycle is inherent in the very nature of gambling activities, where participants experience periods of winning streaks followed by devastating losses. The boom phase typically occurs when individuals are riding the wave of success, enjoying significant wins and experiencing when beating the odds. However, this phase is often short lived, giving way to the inevitable bust, where losses accumulate rapidly, leading to financial distress and emotional turmoil. So, if you look at the the EV curve to explain that, so let's say this is the gaming session. What you'll see that basically initially when you start, okay, there is a period of minor loss, and then you cross this $0 line, and then you briefly go above the $0 line into a surplus, and due to the continuation of the betting, you tend to go into a losing streak. So you face a loss. So initially you face a minor loss, and then you play with a strategy or with a system, and then you have full control over your strategy and risk management. You are able to survive this initial loss period, and then you cross the $0 line, and then you somehow manage to cross the $0 line into a surplus, into the positive EV area, and then if you don't exit here, what's going to happen is that you're going to lose it all. So now this is the basics of expected value. So you have negative EV and you have positive EV. In gambling session, this is how it looks like. Initially, you go into a minor loss, and then you go into a minor gain, and then into a major loss. Now, in terms of, I mean, let's break that down now, right? So, as we said, when you are into a boom, when you are winning, I mean, what's going on? Why did you win? It's due to multiple factors, such as it could be due to luck, it could be illusion of control because you used a system and somehow it worked, or it could be a winning streak. It could be because of your controlled behavior and you are basically well balanced in terms of your ego and your self behavior, and your decision making system is highly controlled. And or it could be a fear of loss. I mean, you are basically you have a fear of loss, and you are betting small, and you are waiting patiently, and you are looking for high probability, bets, and you are cautiously betting, or due to it could be also wishful thinking that could be driving you to take some bets, and it could be just a sporadic opportunity of the gambling, such as the slot machine, or it could be a hope for a big win that is driving you. So there are so many different factors are at play. It could be any one of these that is basically going to lead you to a boom, to initial win. Now, once you are in this initial win, if you don't exit with the win, if you continue betting, what's going to happen is that you're going to go into inevitable losses, which is the bust. And whatever bust that you are facing, either minor or major, you're going to go into a financial distress, you're going to go on tilt, you're going to go into chasing losses or loss of control. And at this point, it's much harder to exit. And your emotional distress is very high. You would be psychologically in a fight or flight situation. So obviously, you're going to be fighting your losses in order to gain control. And also, the dopamine effects will kick in order to enhance your psychological mood. And all of this will lead to you taking higher risk. So once you are taking higher risk, either if you lose, you're going to bring in more capital. If you are at lower bankroll, still you're going to be going all in. Whatever the case is, in case if you win, you're going to go back into this session. And again, if you actually win, if you don't exit, you're going to go back to losses. So this is a cycle. That's why we say the more you bet, if you don't exit, the more you lose. And the more you win, the more you bet, the more you lose. So that's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. It's going to continue running. Okay. The trick is the exit. So we'll get to that. I mean, we need to exit at the right timing. Timing is very, very important. And also, there is a lot of things that we will discuss about how to win and avoid this situation. All right. So, in the context of gambling, let's say for simplistic purpose, you have a boom and bust cycle. Okay. So, this is same as what we have just discussed previously. You have on the EV curve, slightly you will start negative, and then you go into a win. If you don't get out, you're going to go into a loss. So that's the initial session, boom and bust. Now, in a boom cycle, during the boom cycle, optimism abounds as the winning streak surge, with bets frequency and profits soar. In this phase, when you are sitting on wins, you develop a euphoria. Gambler experience periods of bullish sentiment, where winning streak seems to persist continuously. The excitement of quick wealth and the fear of missing out, which is FOMO, on the next bet can drive individuals to increase their exposure to risk, amplifying gains, but also heightening the exposure to potential losses. The bust cycle, inevitably, boom cycles give way to bust cycles, characterized by bankroll downturns and diminishing returns. Gamblers face challenges during magnifying losses, where declining bankroll erode confidence and excitement and trigger panic button. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, which is FUD, permeate the impulsive betting, increasing the losses and amplifying the emotional toll on the gambler. Now, here we got to pay attention to this, that by effectively managing your actions and time management, you can reduce the risk of boom and bust cycles and preserve your capital and enhance long-term profitability. Now, this will require disciplined decision making, patience, and adherence to predefined risk management strategies. Now, these are key principles for navigating the complexities of either volatile markets or casino gaming, mitigating the inherent risk associated with boom and bust cycles. Now, let's suppose that we are in a betting session. Okay. First of all, there are key points that we need to discuss. Well, first is the bankroll management. Let's say we start with $1,000. So that's a bankroll management. You can start with $10,000 or $100,000, so whatever. So the bigger the bankroll that you bring to the table, the better it is. And but it doesn't mean that you're going to be betting high. Therefore, your bet size should be relatively much less. I mean, it should be almost like 1% or 2% of your bankroll. Okay, so if it is $1,000, you should be betting with $1 to $2 per bet. Okay, so that's the bet size you should be adhering to. And then in terms of betting frequency, this is a very, very important point about the betting frequency management. We will get to that on the next slide. And we will explain exactly how to manage your betting frequency according to the math. And time management. So maximum 2 hours per session per day. I mean, I would say 1 hour, but 2 hours maximum. But usually what happens is that your first hour is critical. Your first hour, either you win or you lose. But the next 1 hour really is wrapping up towards finishing the game. So bankroll management, bet size management, betting frequency management, and time management. These are the important elements for you to consider once you are in a gaming session. Now, as you start a betting session, so let's get to the mathematics of the odds. Once you are in a betting session, and that's the EV curve, of course, or the MPL curve. That's the zero line. Okay, the green one, this one here. As you are starting the game, as we said, initially you're going to be facing some losses before you go into a win. You might go into a win directly, but then it's very hard. I find it that if you start, if you win right from the beginning, you might have taken a very high risk, and that's a red flag by itself. But naturally, since you are sticking to this strategy that we are talking about here on the bet size, you are not gonna face any hike right from the beginning, and it will be very highly unlikely. Most likely, you're going to go into a bust cycle, and then gradually you're going to go into the boom cycle, and that's where you need to decide when to exit. Okay, so we are sticking to this model in a gaming session where initially you will be facing a bust, which is natural, but in a controlled fashion. You need to control the bust period. And gradually you need to move to the boom cycle and then exit. So how are you going to do that? So during the bust cycle, the maximum, so you need to set a maximum loss tolerance around negative 10%. So you're going to say, with this $1,000, your maximum loss tolerance is around $100. So you don't accept any loss below that. Why? Of course, we're considering unit size here 1 to 2. So if you're taking unit sizes of 1 to 2 bets each time, it's reaching $100 loss, it takes a while. It's not going to be quick, and that's the good thing about the unit size. If you're taking $1 to $2, and if you're not martingaling quite often, and if you are waiting for the right probability betting, obviously, you're gonna your likelihood of avoiding large losses or even getting to $100 loss is very unlikely. Okay, so you have to choose a very high probability bets. And again, this presentation or this video is not about selling you guys a system or a method of betting or what betting is high probable and what bets are less probable. That's a different topic altogether. You might have your own systems, you might have your own decision making systems or whatever. So basically, what we are describing here is just a simple math, not a system to win a bet. Right. So let's get to this. Now, basically, what we are saying that if you are using a unit size of 1 to 2, which is like, a dollar or two, if your bankroll is $1,000, your maximum loss of -10%, which is $100, it's very highly unlikely if you have a good system that you're using to bet. Okay, so obviously you're not gonna keep losing, right? I mean, I doubt it. I mean, that if you have a good system, then if you don't have a good system, I don't know why you are betting in the first place. Let's be honest. Unless if you know how to play the game. I mean, whatever game you are choosing, blackjack or baccarat or slot machine or poker or I mean, whatever. Okay. You need to have a good system. You need to have some experience how to play the game, and you are confident to use some system that you used before. And you should have back tested the system. It should give out at least more than 50 or 60% win rate. That's all what it is. I mean, obviously, every system can fail one way or another, but you are managing the failure rate through the bet size and bankroll management and betting frequency and time management. So that's the whole essence. So now, any system, if you operate under this math, it can be successful. That's my point. So if you just set the target of a loss of your bus cycle to 10%, now this can be gambling, this can be trading in the markets, this can be a investment, this can be your portfolio management, this can be anything. But you can use this also in gambling as well. Yeah. Now, so in your gambling session, you are again. So basically, you are now undergoing a bus cycle, and you're monitoring this bus cycle. You know that you are under this $0 line, and you are managing this in a pragmatic fashion. So you know that you don't want to go below $100 whatsoever. And then you steer this bus cycle towards a winning cycle gradually, with winning and losing and winning and losing. Obviously, eventually you're going to have more wins. Another trick is that, with this unit size, occasionally you could bet a little bit higher than $1 to $2, but this is occasionally. But this is like according to the Kelly criterion. It's a statistical model. Says that most of the time you are really sticking to the standard units, but once in a while you could increase the bet size in order to capitalize on the win rate, and then push this bus cycle towards the boom cycle. So once you and this will require a lot of grinding. And then once you go above the $0 line, once you are on a boom cycle, your target is maximum 10 to 20%, and you need to exit. All right, you need to exit with if you have a 10% gain, get out. Now, what are the criteria that you need to focus on while you are riding this, the bust and boom cycle? Once you are in the bust cycle, you need to be patient, and you need to have a persistence grinding approach. You need to grind and grind and grind. You need to be very cautious, small bets, and you keep grinding. And you need to focus on a gradual comeback. So you are coming back. It's really gradual. You're focused on this. Your focus is not a win, by the way. Your focus, when you are here on the bus cycle, your focus is not to win big. Okay, so this is where you get yourself in trouble. Where and also avoid higher risk, meaning that if you are taking too much risk once you are in the bus cycle, obviously you're gonna fall apart. I mean, you're gonna go into a ruin very easily and very quickly. All right. So therefore, if you are in a bus cycle, which is like within this -10% range, you need to have a lot of patience, a lot of persistence grinding, and a focus on a gradual comeback. And then you need to have a lot of wait and see approach, meaning that you cannot bet too many times. You have to wait for the high probable bets, and you have to have a lot of monitoring and less betting. And then you really have to manage your bets, the frequency of the bets, your cash flow so cautiously, and it will take some time. It's not going to be easy. as they say, okay, it all matters what you're gonna do when the chips are down. So once your chips are down, that's where you need to shine. I mean, when the chips are down, mostly what happens is that people they just lose it. They go on tilt, they give up, even in other areas of life, in relationships, in at work, or in business or investment. Whenever the chips are down, you find people like losing it. They just give up. They shout. They go on tilt. They are angry. So basically, this also reflects in gambling environment as well. So it's all about when the chips are down, how you manage it, how you're going to come back, and how you're going to become successful. That's all what it matters. When the chips are down, you need to shine. Okay. And this is how you're going to do it. You got to be more patient, persistent grinding, focus on gradual comeback, avoid higher risk, and wait and see approach. Now, let's suppose that you made it. You come on to this boom cycle. Your target is this 10 to 20%. And you need to get out. So these are the criteria you need to focus on. Avoid re-entering. So meaning that once you are um, in a win here and you get out, do not re-enter immediately. Take a long break, because as you can see, it's the session requires a lot of effort, okay, to ride out this wave. So avoid re-entering the game quickly. Resist any temptation to bet higher here, because once you are reaching your target, you need to minimize the bet until you reach your target and get out. Do not, be tempted to bet any higher bets here. Otherwise, you're going to end up again in the bust cycle. Avoid overbetting. Here again, you need to bet small and you need to bet low. You need to bet less frequent until you reach the target and then get out. Resist any impulsive action and adhere to risk management rules. So these are the criteria that you need to apply when you are in the boom cycle. Until you reach your 10 to 20% win, get out. And then come back and play again later, maybe the next day. It's better the next day. Coming back again the same day, again, you are increasing your risk factor for going into losses. So it's much better to start another game the next day. So guys, so that's the mathematics of boom and bust cycle, and how you manage the risk of the downturn by putting a floor on your losses by 10%. And when your chips are down, you need to manage the bust cycle and shine towards coming back up again to the boom cycle. All right. And these are the things, factors you need to constantly manage. Your bankroll needs to be managed through manage the risk of the drawdown, which is, we say 10% should be maximum. Your bet sizes should be approximately 1 to 2% of your bankroll on each bet. And betting frequency, we will get to that on the next slide. We will explain how to do the betting frequency, because betting frequency management is everything, by the way. It's the most important element, and we will describe it. And of course, time management. Do not exceed more than 2 hours of game, because it's going to affect your psychology, it's going to affect your mood, it's going to affect your decision-making skills. It can even override your psychological defense system. You'll start making foolish decisions after a while, because too much of uncertainty, too much of betting, too much of decision-making, too much of winning and losing, and emotional roller coaster. What's going to happen is that you will undermine your psychological capability to make decision, and you're going to override your rational decision-making system, and then you start making impulsive bets. So you want to avoid that. So that's going to be definite if you expand amount of time gambling. Do not exceed 2 hours of a gaming session per day. Per day, well, I mean, today we are living in a technological era, so you are basically, you could have a casino online 24 hours. I mean, I would suggest that not to use online casino all the time, because this digital platforms can screw up your mind. The bricks and mortar casinos are much better, because first of all, you're not going to be gambling every day. It's whenever you are in holidays, you might be going there like once in a year or maybe once in 2 years, and you might be staying there for 1 week, and that's about it. So basically, let's say if you are going to a bricks and mortar casino, you are staying there in that venue for 3-4 days. and you are having a gambling session. So ideally, you should not be playing more than 2 hours per day for 1 week, and it should be maximum 2 hours per day for about 1 week. So that's the kind of scenario that I'm talking about. I'm not talking about, day in, day out, every day you playing a crypto-based casino like Stake or whatever, or all these crypto casinos out there is just 24 hours. Is gonna get you. Okay, eventually, you're psychologically you will not be optimized, to win. I'm telling you that up front. Okay, this is not a strategy for you to play every day. This strategy is that you should be minimizing gambling session, maybe 1 week every 6 months, and that's about it, really. Okay. Other than that, you are taking your own risk, because I don't know what to tell you. If you are, gambling every day online, you are exposed to all kinds of risks. Okay, so anything can go wrong anytime. So let's get to the betting frequency right now. So, in a betting frequency management, the notion that the real chance of winning is often on the initial bets, which is grounded in several fundamental principles of probability and human psychology. Initially, when individuals engage in a bet, they are essentially taking a random chance or making an informed decision based on available information. Now, at this stage, the outcome is still uncertain, and there is a sense of anticipation and excitement surrounding the potential for success. However, as individuals continue to place subsequent bets, the dynamics of the situation change significantly. With each additional bet, they are exposed to increased risk and increased uncertainty, which can lead to cloud your thinking process and question your strategies and plans, and the likelihood of experiencing losses begins to mount. This is due to several factors that come into play as the betting or trading activity progresses. First, there is the element of diminishing return. In the beginning, and even after initial success, you are overconfident and underestimate the risks involved in subsequent bets. You may increase the sizes of the bets or take on more significant bet sizes, expecting similar outcomes to an initial success incurred. However, as the law of probability dictates, which is the negative EV curve, the likelihood of consecutive wins diminishes over time. Therefore, losses become increasingly probable. Second, there is the phenomenon of chasing losses. When you experience a loss, you often feel compelled to recoup your losses by placing additional bets in an attempt to regain the initial stake. This behavior is driven by a combination of emotions such as frustration, regrets, and desire to break even as quick as possible due to pain involved. However, chasing losses typically leads to further losses as you take on more significant risks in pursuit of short term gains. Third, there is the impact of emotional decision making. As you experience wins and losses in rapid succession, your judgment may become clouded by emotions such as greed, fear, impulsivity. This can lead to irrational decision making and deviation from your initial strategy or plan. Now, instead of sticking to disciplined risk management principles, you may succumb to impulsive actions that further exacerbate your losses. Now, in summary, the real chance of winning is often concentrated in the initial bets and not in the later ones, where outcomes and decision making becomes increasingly uncertain and the potential for success is higher in the first 1 hour of the game session, by the way. However, as you continue to bet, you're exposed to increasing risks and uncertainties, leading to a higher probability of experiencing losses. By understanding the mechanics of this process in terms of betting frequency and exercising discipline and restraint, you can mitigate the risks associated with continued betting and improve your chances of long-term success. All right, guys, I hope that you really enjoyed this video. Okay, now we have created 40 videos about the threats and the risks of gambling. This is now the first video talking about the math on how to beat the odds. Still keeping in mind on all the threats that is involved in the game. So basically, we have so far described the math which can lead you to become successful in beating the odds and beating the house. If you need more clarity, you should go back and watch this video again and try to understand and digest the mathematics of winning. So until the next video, cheers, guys, and please do not forget to subscribe to our channel, as now we are not going to be producing a lot of statistics and math towards how to beat the odds. So we are now taking a different direction in the pursuit of for winning the game of odds. So yes, please subscribe to our channel and press the like button, and as well as the bell button. And I hope if you really enjoyed this video, please add some comments. So let me know, what do you think about this content, about this direction that we are taking in this channel now? Any comments from you is highly appreciated. Thanks a lot, guys. Cheers.